opportunity to Dr. Fola to give us our intro and talk to us before we start taking the questions and getting back. Hello, Dr. Fola.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Uluomo. Good evening, Nigerians in the UK. Good evening, my other speakers, Mr. Toib, Dr. Abi. Thank you so much for this, platform, Lemfi, and everybody, literally everybody. So I feel like the floor is already been covered. I was sitting here thinking, okay, what am I gonna say? Because I mean, the gems are just so huge. I'm sure everyone is gaining from this. But I think for myself, what I would just like to kind of reiterate again, I will probably not be saying much different to what all my other speakers have said. Um, I tell my students there was a day, I think it was during this riot thing that happened a few months ago, if anyone remember. And I was in class. Thankfully for me, most of my students are international Nigerians, well represented, but international generally. So I kind of like had the flexibility, or would I say the luxury, to speak somewhat my mind. And in that conversation, we started with the riots, what's happening. And in that conversation, the key thing I kind of like pull out was for the students to not care. Like, don't look at people, don't look at what the environment is saying, don't listen to the noise. You came here to study and you have spent thousands of pounds. I remember when I came here, as a lot of people would have seen on my tweet, it's been 10 years now. When I came here 10 years ago, trying to look for work, I started doing care. I said it all the time, I did care. In one of the shifts, we were talking and someone asked me how much I paid, like, how, what are you doing here? I'm studying, how much you paid. And I told the person. They were shocked. They were like, what, your family have this amount? Because to them it's almost, impossible, almost unimaginable that you have this huge amount to come and spend studying in their country. And what am I trying to pull out from that is it's a lot of money. Even the people that are here, the so-called home people, some of them, in fact many of them, cannot afford it. As a matter of fact, they have bursary, they have student loan, and they still almost drag them to come to study because they just either don't want to, or they can't afford it, or they just have different reasons. Now you have spent this huge amount to come and study. You cannot then come here and not, sit up. I feel like it's almost like a no-brainer. Although me being in the industry, I do know unfortunately, some of our students, you know, have issues. Some of them find that they are either not doing well. And again, sometimes it's not just because the student is not putting in the effort. And I'm really very proud of our students, I must say. When it comes to attendance, I'm always happy going to class to teach my master's and postgraduate students because they are always attending, and the engagement, the discussion is fantastic. But when it comes to translating into academic performance, sometimes, and again, it may not be, we're not saying it's, student fault. It's the environment. You're coming from a different environment where you're focused on examination mainly, and now you're finding yourself writing assessments, portfolio presentation, some things that are kind of new and different. And it may or may not be easy to translate into that situation or that environment. And so some students struggle. But outside that, you want to think about the fact that this is a huge investment. I say to students, if you come here and you finish your masters or your program, whichever program you come for, and you get your certificate, it's very good. It's absolutely very good, and is, commendable, but it's not enough. You cannot come and study. For me, oh, I don't know, maybe because I think I've said so. I've pushed out some of my stories, in terms of how I got here. It was a lot of struggle. I mean, the journey was not easy, and I'm sure it's not easy for a lot of people as well. So you cannot come here, as far as I'm concerned, get your master's or your postgraduate, whatever certificate, and go home, or just get that. That is not enough. For me, you have to come here and get more than your certificate. if you're not leaving, either you're leaving the UK to your home country, I don't know, or you're going to a different country or somewhere else, and you have not soaked in the opportunities that are available in this country beyond just your certificate, I don't think you've done justice to that investment that you spent, that money you spent, your family spent. It is not enough. And that being said, what I would like to mention, in addition to what everybody have said, is that you have spent a lot of money, and so you have a huge right. I think I see this so many times in class. Students are scared. Our students are scared. Our people are scared. I don't know why. Scared to voice out, scared to lay complaints, scared to express their opinion, especially when it's something they feel maybe the lecturer or the school or people in somewhat higher authority will not be appreciative of or will not like. And the truth is, you have spent a lot of money. You should be very comfortable in expressing your concerns and your worries. One thing that is different is when I'm working with or teaching my undergraduate students, because many of them, in fact, most of them are home students. They are very quick to say, "Hey, Dr. Fala, please." Like, it's they are very quick to air their opinion. I remember there was a time I had a what's it called now, academic misconduct meeting with one student. I didn't pick the student, someone else picked the student, and I was chairing that session. Now, the person sent a different document, a wrong document. That's the lecturer. And when we got into this meeting, this student was very adamant. She refused to have that meeting with the correct document, because she stood on the ground and said, "You have sent me the wrong document," which the wrong document, they actually did not show the misconduct that we were to discuss. And she refused. She said, "I will not discuss any other thing aside from this one." And I was just sitting there. We tried to, the mistake. She refused. She said, "I will not." And at the end of the day, we had to let her off. We just had to. There was no way that we could carry on. We just had to let her off. And I was thinking, if it was my people, we most likely would have gotten away with that. We would have gotten away with changing the document and providing the right one, and probably getting them or penalizing them for whatever it is the misconduct was. This is part of what we mean by standing on, like, expressing yourself. If you're not sure, ask people, "Oh, this has happened." For example, you're called to a meeting and something like this has happened. You can request a reschedule. There's nothing wrong in saying, "Okay, this has happened. I don't feel comfortable discussing this now because of this change. I want a different date." But we are so scared in our, we just give in and just follow whatever it is that is being said. Yeah, whatever. And at the end of the day, that comes to bite us, because you either find that this person would either be failed and then resit the program, or they have to even pay to re-register for that degree. I know there was a case of a student who submitted on time, but because of an information that she wasn't aware of, they had to fail her. And this student had to pay another £2,500 just to redo that course. When I heard, I'm like, "Are you serious? This is not your fault. You should not have paid." But because we're so scared, we're not, confident in laying complaints, these people don't own us. As a matter of fact, you are the customer. You are the customer, and if you go by that saying, maybe not always right, but most time, customers should be listened to, and you should be listened to. And so, that being said, be very confident, express yourself, ask question where is needed. And I think I would also say, like Mr. Toib have said, volunteer is really helpful when you volunteer, especially when you represent student voice. It helps you not just within the university, but also outside the university space. I remember I was a rep when I was doing my PhD for my faculty. And that really helped me because, one, a lot of lecturers know me. So when opportunities come, they either send through me to share with other students, so I'm aware of, things that are happening and opportunities that I can also tap into. Or some, they actually pinpoint me myself and say, "Oh, Fola, do you want to do this?" I remember I got a teaching contract as a result of that. The lecturer just pointed at me and, sent me that email and said, I think you would, I would like if you can come join and do this. And it was paid. And all of those added to what I put on my CV, to help me get my first job and the rest of that. So really very essential that you don't you're not quiet, you're not under the radar. And I say this because I am one of those students. When I was doing my undergraduate in Nigeria, I was very quiet, horribly quiet. I remember I missed my results. In Nigeria sometimes they don't post the results, at least those days when I studied. They didn't post our results, and I went to my HOD to ask about my results. The way the man sent me out, he was ready. It was like, "Who are you? Get out." I went again because he shared the result and I wasn't there the day he did. I went again, get out. Went another time, get out. It was really, really hard. Eventually, he gave in and then asked me for my matric number, and I gave him, and he was calling my results, and I was like, "Is this you? Okay, this number, this. How come I don't know you? Because I wasn't actively, vocal in class. I used to be very quiet. I think we've been trained to an extent, as Nigerians, to an extent, be quiet, don't talk when others are talking. Sure, you don't know it. Here it's opposite to talk. The more you talk, the more you have discussion in class. You call back a lecturer, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me, madam. This is what you said in the UK, but in a different context is different." Show that you are active. They will remember you because of that. Getting references when you're about to start looking for job opportunities, especially those that are related to your field, it becomes easy for people to write for you. Now we have personal tutors, and I think Oluomo and Dr. Abi and everybody, Mr. Toibe also mentioned this. We have personal tutors. These people are there. They are supposed to be your semi-body. When I say semi-body, they are in the academic space. Yes, they are lecturers, but they are also supposed to be on your side. And that means you are supposed to meet them for any challenges that are, you don't need. I don't have accommodation, meet your personal tutor. It's not like he or she would give you accommodation, but they can signpost you to support services within the university that will give you information that you need, or that may help you find what you're looking for. So don't struggle in silence because you're scared if the university know I have this challenge. Because I've experienced this. Some students will say, I didn't want to say anything because I know if they know I have this challenge, that may impact on. No, it shouldn't. And if it does, you are supposed to be able to pick that up and report it. Now, when you come to uni, when you come, and I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun now, but I just wanted to talk really about opportunities. Like I said earlier, you are not so, if you come to UK and you get your degree, you have done well. But to me, you have not done well enough, because if I'm spending 15,000-20,000 pounds, I don't think my certificate is enough to cover that. I don't think it's a good achievement just getting my certificate alone. So that means assessing opportunities that are within the system to better enhance your career prospect. Now, the first thing you want to think about is colleagues in your cohort, your student body, as same as yourself. There's a lot of information that runs around student bodies, and you want to really jump on, know what is happening within the system. So classmates talk about things, group reading, very, very important. Most classes now, they have WhatsApp group. Please be active on them. Join and be active. All these variable informations will be passed across. I mean, something like what the Nigerians in the UK is doing. I know we talked about social media, and I think I have a slightly different view on social media. I feel like social media is very, very important. And I wouldn't see social media as waste of time. But it would depend on how you use it. A lot of information, I mean, we see on Nigerians in the UK, so many people, especially students, post questions and they get almost immediate response and, clarification, help. We cannot count how many people have been able to get life beneficial, let me not say life changing, but I know even life changing information on these platforms. But what you want to do is you want to be strategic about what you are assessing. Now, I noticed that Twitter, or X as it is now, when you're assessing certain information like themes, they now put, for me, I have JACPA / scholarship enthusiast. as a theme. So that means if I go under this tab, I will be able to see JAPA scholarship discussions that are relevant to me based on the kind of discussion I've been involved in, the kind of people I'm following. And that's what you want to do. You want to follow people that are going to add value to you on social media platform and know exactly what is happening. Be able to follow them and hear what is happening within the system. So I wouldn't necessarily say social media in certain way, but I would say be very strategic in how you use it. A lot of opportunities are gained from social media. So it's really important in my view, but it's just how you use it is what is, going to make the difference. University services, maybe we're going to come to this a bit later, I'm not sure, but just to touch on it, that outside your cohort, you also have your lecturers that you want to talk to. Like I said, you have personal tutor that you can access and really get information from them. Some universities would have at least some faculty would have what is called employability lead. So that means one person who's in charge of giving information and support to students when it comes to employment in that field. It will be very important that you assess that person, or you know that person, and be familiar, or be conversant with their emails. Usually we share some of these things on the university different platforms on our virtual learning environment. So you want to keep an eye on those messages. Currently, I know I'm not the employability lead for my uni, but I know the person that is in charge today. The person shared internship opportunity for Birmingham City Council for public health students, and that's something some students don't check these emails, these announcements, and they just go by. So you want to be aware of who that person is and keep an eye on their messages. Now, outside and your lecturers, some of them are doing different research. Some are funded, some are not. Again, just like Mr. Toyib said, volunteering. I mean, it goes without saying, if you want to get your foot into the system, you may not be paid initially, and you want to give your time so that you know the value that you want to get out of it. So I would advise, ask your lecturers if they have volunteering roles, even if it's not paid, like I said, voluntary roles that the project they are working on, just get involved in it. That is one way of putting your foot into the system in terms of your field. The other thing to mention is that universities, again, most universities, if not all, I say most because I don't know all, but I believe all, would have what is called career enterprise unit. So these are it's kind of like a group of staff member that the university employ to support centrally, to support all university students when it comes to career discussion. And so things like CV writing, cover letter are things that they can help you work on, design your CV, enhance your cover letter, and all of these other things that can help you get jobs in your field. The other thing to mention is that this career team, sometimes again, they share opportunities within your field. You want to be very conversant with them. On the virtual learning space of most unis, at least the ones that I've been aware of, they usually would have this career or employability space, and most times they share information. Again, many of them may be voluntary, but there are some that are paid roles. Like I said, there's currently an internship one with my university that is literally out today. So these kind of things, you want to keep an eye, always go there and just check what is the new, is there anything new that have been added, and just assess if it's valuable to you. Now, aside from all of this, the other thing is you want to look at opportunities within the central system, the school. So there's something like the Sabbatical Student Union. I say this because some people are very what's it called now? They are people person, so to speak, and they have that sense of solving problems. So if you have that, you can really start by representing your colleagues, your cohorts in school, and then going on to sabbatical elections and all of these other things. I'm not very, when it comes to politics, I'm definitely not forward in that space, but I know some people are, and if that's your passion, there's opportunity for you. Now, if you have business idea as well, just to say, if you have business idea, you can go to the career and enterprise unit. They can help you develop your business idea depending on how, the value in that. So if you have a good business idea and you're thinking, okay, I don't know the UK space, I don't know the laws, I don't know what rules, I don't know how to assess, that's something you can also check out. Aside from that, Mr. Toib mentioned it, seminars and conferences. Oh my God. You need to be very, very, as much as possible, you need to access conferences. They give you huge platform to meet so many people in your field, so many, expert leaders within your field. I cannot say how many people I have met that have been of value to me in my career in conferences or at conferences. So you want to go to conferences. When I was a student, when I was a student, I went to conferences. I remember I went to one and I presented oral. There was one I presented poster. And you don't even have to present. You can just go and attend as a delegate or an attendee. But you can also go and present. The assessment that you write, you can put it into a poster and go and present at these conferences. And something to mention is also very key. Whatever field you're in, you want to look at the societies that are attached to that field. So like I'm going to mention health because that's what I know, like Diabetes UK, for example, like Cancer Research UK, like Physiotherapy Society, like British Heart Foundation. There are different organizations and societies. For public health, we have the Royal Society for Public Health. All of these organizations or bodies, what you can do is to join them. I would advise you join at least one, if no more. The reason you want to join them is because key valuable information in your field will be shared through those platforms. So you would be, and most time they would have student membership. Usually is a lot cheaper. For example, with the Diabetes UK, I know I have the Diabetes UK membership. I used to have the Royal Society for Public Health membership as well as a student. It's like half price. The Diabetes UK is about £38, and so the student membership is probably going. I don't know exactly how much, but it's going to be maybe like 20 or less. Now, in a year, that amount you're paying, you will be able to get huge information and most likely attend conferences. And also, just to say that if you're part of these societies, a lot of them have student grants, and that's something we don't explore enough. When I was a student, I got the Satanda Mobility Grant, and I just checked literally as Mr. Toib was speaking. It is still open for students to access. They give £1,000. These are, and that's just one grant. There are so many other grant bodies that will give you this, some money for you to either do some research. So if you have research idea or you have an issue you want to solve for students, body, you can also use them. The OFS, there's the Office for Students, who's kind of like the big body in charge of university and activities within higher education generally. They also give grants, and you can also access them even as a student. And these grants are not restricted, because somebody's probably wondering, is it public fund? No, they are not public fund. You can take this money and use it, especially those that are maybe coming for PhD, because I know now there's more interest around PhD degree. So if you're here for PhD, you may be self-funding, and that's, sometimes that's just the option you have. But you can have small grants that can help you in carrying out your research. So you can have grants depending on how valuable your research is, and that's for you to do a very good job in your proposal and in your application. You can get grants. I know somebody who got this was the person did their project in the UK. Their uni is in the UK. Their project was done in Nepal, and they got $8,000 from the US. So from a charity organization in the US to carry out their PhD program in Nepal. So these are, money that can help you Also, but just to mention that some of these grants, especially for PhD, you will have to assess them in your first year, most of them, because they don't want you to have collected your data, to have done, gone really far before you apply for this. So as soon as you're coming in now, you want to start assessing if there are grant opportunities that you can access that will help you with data collections. I know some students, their data collection is back in Nigeria. You're going to spend a lot of money, going back to collect data. You can get this as a way of supporting yourself and reducing the cost of your study. So I think I will just leave it here for now. And hopefully people have gotten one or two things, and I'll be able to answer questions as the program goes on. Thank you so very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fola. As in, when you were talking, I was just biting my tongue because there's some things that I did not really do, some errors that I think after I graduated, I learned better. And it's good that we're having spaces like this to talk about opportunities that we've missed in different times. So I'm just going to ask a question. Now, you talked about, engaging in class or making your complaint. This is what if you're faced with a situation whereby your complaint is not handled appropriately by the university, or you feel like you're not given the right attention that you deserve? Did you understand? Or because this happened to me, I'll tell you, this happened to me when I was a student, and the lecturer literally said, no, it's not going to answer. And I mean, that class did not continue. As anyone that went to University of Portsmouth, project management and in my class that time, they all knew me. That's when all the teachers knew me because I was like, how dare you say no? I paid a lot of money to, and I'm asking you a question, why do you say no? So what's that done? Because my school didn't even take that thing up, and I'm still mad at them though. What are the measures, situations like that?
Okay, I assume. Thank you so much. I assume this is for myself.
Yes, please, Dr. Flora.
Okay, fab. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, there are certain circumstances that complaints may not be taken up appropriately or as we would like. The first thing, there are different people, and I'm sure we know, hierarchy. There are different levels that you can take complaints to. So the first one is the person that this complaint is directly impacting or involving on. So that means if it's a lecturer, maybe a course or whatever, first person should be that person. While you're doing that, you always want to carry your what's it called, your personal tutor along, because sometimes they may be called. I've been asked so many times as a personal tutor, this student said da 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 da, are you aware of it? So you don't want your personal tutor to stay, oh, I'm not aware of. You want to carry them along, because sometimes they would even sometimes, I mean, I as a personal tutor, I have stepped in several times. I had one student who complained to me that her what's it called, her supervisor was not very helpful and wouldn't really give her feedback and whatnot. I stepped in, I met the supervisor myself, and I told the person, I'm sorry, but this person said this. Can you? So just having somebody else be aware of it that is on your side is very helpful. That's one. The other thing is, if it doesn't get, the thing is, you don't stop at one point. If it doesn't get addressed, okay, before going further, what I would say is always make sure you have evidence. And sometimes we have things that we say, verbally. If you have meeting with someone and they say some things to you verbally, it would be good if you write it out in an email and say, hey, Doctor, this, or Mr. That, may you had this conversation. These are the things I got from that conversation. Am I correct? Even if they don't reply or acknowledge it, just you sending that already shows that there's an evidence that this conversation most likely happened. So first of all, have evidence and try as much as you can to be sure that you have a case, because sometimes again we may or may not have a case. Most time we do have a case, and that's why I'm saying speaking of, because most time there are some cases I hear and I'm like, gosh, you've just wasted opportunity, because that's the case. But where you're not sure, check with your personal tutor. If the person is ideally, if the person is doing their job as they should, they are supposed to tell you when and if you have a case. But if not, if you're not comfortable again with the personal tutor, maybe for whatever reason, you want to check your student union body. That is why they are there for you. That is why they are, you know, with the university. You want to go to your student union and check with them. I know of a case, you know, student took it to the student union, and I can tell you that they had to remove that person from that post because of student union involvement. So sometimes if the department is not dealing with it as you would like, and you have evidence, you're certain or almost certain that this is a case, take it to the student union. Now, outside the student union, hopefully it doesn't go beyond that. You know, going to the level lead, there are some people we call level lead, they are in charge of modules and courses. You can look at them. And also the head of department is somebody you can email or, you know, request meeting with. I have an issue, I don't think it's been dealt with appropriately. You also have, there's something called the complaint. I don't know if it may not be the same in every university, but there's a team, compliance and complaint. So they deal with complaints of students. And most time, honestly, the cases that I've dealt with, not my current unit, but my former unit, most cases that I've dealt with, they just want to kill the issue before it escalates. So as soon as issue comes to them, most likely they rule in favor of the students because they don't want it to go beyond that. Now, if that is also not addressed, there's the OFS. I mentioned the OFS. The OFS is body that is in charge of, you know, overseeing students' issue and whatnot. They are there. You can, I mean, I hope it doesn't go outside the unit, but they are, you know, people that you can also access, or organization that you can access and lay your complaint. There's also the National Student Body of in the UK, NUS. They can also be, you know, people you can assess. Really, this is now taking it, you know, really wide. It's gone beyond your student union. You don't feel your student union have done enough, and you're not taking it to the National Student Union Body. Even though it sounds outrageous, like how would you go, what kind of issue would you have? But those, like, there are so many. Even the VC, as a student, you can access the VC's office and lay your complaint. Of course, hopefully it doesn't get anywhere close to that, but these are different layers of support that you can access if you feel one space is not, you know, one person or one department is not addressing it. You can really take it up all the way to. But the thing is, most of the time we are scared. We are really scared. Even the person, I know a module, there was a situation where a module failed more than half of the students, and they were so scared, people didn't want to talk. And this has been going on for, you know, for a while, not failing half, but this occasion. But students have been having issue with this particular person, according to. And then it was when it got so bad that almost half of the class failed, that they then, you know, voice out and went to the uni, and then the student union, and then the student union took it up. Even the head of department almost lost her job because of it. Because, you know, we have complained, but we just hush it and don't take it. The more you take it up and you're ready to fight it, and some people say, oh, my visa will be, nobody can touch your visa. There is nothing a uni will send to home office except the fact that you are not, one, attending classes, or which you have evidence that you're attending your classes, or you have failed your modules, and you're not re-enrolling as you should. If you have not done any of these, they cannot, nobody, me like this as a lecturer, I cannot touch anybody's visa. There's nothing, I'm not an immigration officer, there's nothing a student can do me that I will threaten them with their visa, because I don't have the power. And the uni does not have the power, like I said, except in circumstances where you have not paid your fees, or you're not engaging and have been withdrawn. So yeah, you can take it to however level. And some people, I do know some people that take it to external tribunals. So for example, where you have union bodies, so as a lecturer, you know, we have union bodies, and I'm sure other professions have, you know, some people take it to external tribunal. I know as a lecturer, my former uni, one of the unis I taught in, I know a colleague, as I was joining that uni, she was in court with our head of department. She was in court, she took him to court, and she's actually, she's Nigerian. That's how strong it was. She's been here so many years, she's practically English at this point. So the mentality is that she was not scared. Me as a Nigerian, you know, just coming in, I was scared. I was like, how can you take your, I was really shocked, like, really, you can take your head of department, but she was very confident. in doing that, because she had a, and at the end of the day she was rude. It was rude in favor of her. She got a lot of money paid out to her, and the rest of that. So as a student you can take it to so many levels and different layers as it is, but please have your evidence, and also don't be scared to push your case if you know you have the evidence to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fa. I mean, thank you. I mean, I didn't even know that we have so many levels of reports, but nah, that's good. So, I mean, students, when you are facing situations, don't be like me. Don't be like me. Complain, cry out.
You are trying to juggle too many things together, and it can be very, very difficult for a number of people. That is for sure.
Is supposed to have formative assessment in it. So if you have not seen a formative assessment plan, you want to request that. It is part of your right. You can request it. And like I said, in addition to what Dr. Abi said, you also want to check the marking rubric that will guide what, so that is also very helpful, because if you be, and I get this sometimes, when students are like, doctor, or this person marked my work and I'm not happy with the mark, I was expecting more. If you don't know the rubric and you're not familiar with the rubric, you will not be able to even question what mark has been given to you. And so if you know the rubric, you can easily, because that rubric will give you mark based on different sections, based on the criteria that you have been assessed against. So maybe a part is 10 marks, another maybe 20, another maybe 15, and you can see how many of the 10 marks for that section you have gotten. If you've been given maybe 5 and you think this should be at least a 7, it will be easy for you to identify what part you think has not been fairly marked and then present your case. So yeah, just wanted to add those as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fola. Thank you for answering the questions. Grateful for that.
Talk to them and to ask them, to discuss with them. Some of the well-being team, usually they will have drop-in sessions, or they would also have booked session that you have to book with them, especially if you have detailed discussion that you want to have. And like I said, these things, they don't have to directly relate to your academia. Just even the fact that you're maybe house hunting and is really impacting on your well-being is more than enough for you to drop in or to book an appointment to see them. And you don't have to, a lot of the time, they may or may not give you the solution, but just talking to them and letting the university know, especially because sometimes I see students come and they say, oh, I struggled this way, I struggled that way. Who did you tell within the team? Who is aware of it? Nobody. And you want to be you want to carry some of these services along, even if it's just as evidence for when you would need them. So you can say, oh, I accessed the mental health service, and this is the evidence showing that I accessed that, because that can be considered when marking assessment, or even when you're being given what is called considerable marking, or there's this thing, extenuation. Yeah, so there's something called extension and extenuation, and I'm sure, or I want to believe some of us, if not all of us, know about this. So the extension, it will be, most time is given one module, or I think per semester, and you can assess that. It gives you like 7 days for you to submit your work, so it gives you more time, if and usually you don't need evidence for that. But there's the other one, which is the extenuation. That one gives you the opportunity to submit your assessment at the next submission point. So it gives you usually few months, maybe 2 or so, or 3 months even sometimes, for you to submit, and your assessment will not be capped. So that means whatever mark you get, it will not be capped at the pass mark of 50. I see a lot of students who just submit whatever and get and fail, and then resubmit and get 50 as maximum pass mark, rather than applying for extenuation, which will allow you to get your full mark when you resubmit. And they have evidence, but they just wouldn't do it. And one of the ways, or some students will say, I don't know how to get evidence. One of the ways you can get evidence is accessing some of the mental health services in the university and using that as evidence to show, I have been accessing mental health service, I have been struggling, they are aware of it, and this is my evidence of showing that. And right now, I am not fit to submit. Also, just to mention that there's something called fit to submit. Once you submit your work without explanation of if you have any of these challenges, you're liable, you're telling the university I'm fit. So it's not after the mark has been the script have been marked, then you say, oh, I'm sorry, I was not feeling well, I was not. No, once you've submitted, you're telling your it is your responsibility to be sure that you're fit to submit. So once you submitted, you're telling us you're fit to submit. So that's also something to consider. But really, you want to assess the mental health services not only to support you in terms of your mental health, but also as evidence if you need it later on in regards to submitting your work. We've talked about network, keeping friends, talking to people, socializing, be engaging in class. All of these are part of ways of dealing with mental health, and also just having a good relationship with people can really help you cope. This place can be, like we've said, it can be very, very isolating sometimes. You don't want to find yourself really deeply in isolation because it would come back to really haunt you. So assessing, talking with friends, with classmates, really you go and just introduce yourself, chat with people, let them know who you are. Your classmates, they are your colleagues, they're not going to bite. All of these are ways of helping yourself. And I think, social media is also one good thing. I always say the way you use social media is what is important. It's not staying away from it. Sometimes we have all this, like the Nigerians in the UK, it's a space that we see a lot of people just come and share one or two things, have dialogue, and just know that people are going through something similar as yourself. You are not alone in this journey. And so I would say these are some of the ways that you can access mental health support and really keep an eye on your mental health. But your personal tutor is very key as well. I don't know if I mentioned this. If you're going through anything, always keep them in the loop. They are very, very important. If you need them, they will be there to support, to evidence that these are some of the things you have been going through. And all lecturers, at least those that have been allocated personal tutors, are given hours. So it is your right. You're not infringing in anybody's, you're not asking for what is not yours. It is part of your right as a student to assess personal tutor, a request to speak with them, and just talk to somebody if that is what you need at that time. I think I will leave it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fola. Really appreciate your contribution. Yeah, so Mr. Toyi, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much.